Good to go, Maharaj? Stop. Stop. Chapter 58. 5 queens married by Krishna. As mentioned in the last chapter, there is a great rumor that the 5 Pandava brothers, along with their mother Kunti, had died, according to the plan of the sons of Dhritarashtra, in a fire accident in the house of lac in which they were living. But when the 5 brothers were detected at the marriage ceremony of Draupadi, so another rumor spread that the Pandavas and their mother were not dead. It was a rumor, but actually it was so. They returned to their capital city, Hastinapura, and people saw them face to face. When this news was carried to Krishna and Balaram, Krishna wanted to see them personally, and therefore he decided to go to Hastinapura. This time, Krishna visited Hastinapura in state as a royal prince, accompanied by his commander-in-chief, Yuyudhana, and by many other soldiers. He had not actually been invited to visit the city, yet he went to see the Pandavas out of his affection for his great devotees. He visited the Pandavas without warning and all of them got up from their respective seats as soon as they saw him. Krishna is called Mukunda because as soon as one comes in constant touch with Krishna or sees him in full Krishna consciousness, one immediately becomes freed from all material anxieties. Not only that, but one is immediately blessed with all spiritual bliss. Receiving Krishna, the Pandavas were enlivened, just as if awakened from unconsciousness or loss of life. When a man is lying unconscious, his senses and the different parts of his body are inactive. But when he regains his consciousness, the senses immediately become active. Similarly, the Pandavas received Krishna as if they had just regained their consciousness and so they were very much enlivened. Lord Krishna embraced every one of them, and by the touch of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Pandavas immediately became freed from all reactions of material contamination and were therefore smiling in spiritual bliss. By seeing the face of Lord Krishna, everyone was transcendently satisfied. Lord Krishna, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was playing the part of an ordinary human being, and thus he immediately touched the feet of Yudhishthira and Bhima because they were his two older cousins. Arjuna embraced Krishna as a friend of the same age, whereas the two younger brothers, namely Nakula and Sahadeva, touched the lotus feet of Krishna to show him respect. After an exchange of greetings according to the social etiquette befitting the position of the Pandavas and Lord Krishna, Krishna was offered an exalted seat. When he was comfortably seated, the newly married Draupadi, young and very beautiful in her natural feminine gracefulness, came before Lord Krishna to offer her respectful greetings. The Yadavas who accompanied Krishna to Hastinapur were also very respectfully received. Specifically, Satyaki or Yuyudhana was also offered a nice seat. In this way, when everyone else was properly seated, the five brothers took their seats near Krishna. After meeting with the five brothers, Lord Krishna personally went to visit Srimati Kunti Devi, the mother of the Pandavas, who was also Krishna's paternal aunt. In offering his respects to his aunt, Krishna also touched her feet. Kunti Devi's eyes became wet, and, in great love, she feelingly embraced Lord Krishna. She then inquired from him about the well-being of her paternal family members, her brother Vasudeva, his wives, and other members of the family. Similarly, Krishna also inquired from his aunt about the welfare of the Pandava family. Although Kunti Devi was related to Krishna by family ties, she knew immediately after meeting him that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She remembered the past calamities of her life and how, by the grace of Krishna, she and her sons, the Pandavas, had been saved. She knew perfectly well that without Krishna's grace, no one could have saved them from the fire accident, quote unquote accident, designed by the sons of Dhritarashtra. In a choked up voice, she began to narrate before Krishna the history of their life. Srimati Kunti Devi said, "My dear Krishna, I remember the day when you sent my brother Akrura to gather information about us. This means that you always remember us automatically. When you sent Akrura, I could understand that there was no possibility of our being put in danger. All good fortune in our life began when you sent Akrura to us. Since then, I have been convinced that we are not without protection. We may be put into various types of dangerous conditions by our family members, the Kurus, but I am confident that you remember us and always keep us safe and sound. Even ordinary devotees who simply think of you are always immune to all kinds of material danger, and what to speak of ourselves, who are personally remembered by you. So, my dear Krishna, there is no question of bad luck. We are always in an auspicious position because of your grace. Yet, although you have bestowed a special favor on us, people should not mistakenly think that you are partial to some and inattentive to others. You make no such distinction. No one is your favorite and no one is your enemy. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are equal to everyone, and everyone can take advantage of your special protection. The fact is that although you are equal to everyone, you are especially inclined to the devotees who always think of you. The devotees are related to you by ties of love. As such, they cannot forget you even for a moment. You are present in everyone's heart, but because the devotees always remember you, you respond accordingly. Although a mother has affection for all her children, she takes special care of the one who is fully dependent. I know certainly, my dear Krishna, that being seated in everyone's heart, you always create auspicious situations for your unalloyed devotees. Unquote. Then King Yudhishthira also praised Krishna as the Supreme Personality and universal friend of everyone. But because Krishna was taking special care of the Pandavas, King Yudhishthira said, "My dear Krishna, we do not know what sort of pious activities we have executed in our past lives that have made you so kind and gracious to us. We know very well that the great mystics who always engage in meditation to capture you do not find it easy to obtain such grace, nor can they draw any personal attention from you. I cannot understand why you are so kind to us. We are not yogis. On the contrary, we are attached to material contaminations. We are householders, dealing in politics, worldly affairs. I do not know why you are so kind to us." Being requested by King Yudhishthira, Krishna agreed to stay in Hastinapura for 4 months during the rainy season. The 4 months of the rainy season are called Chaturmasya. During this period, the generally itinerant preachers and brahmanas stop at a certain place and live under rigid regulative principles. Although Lord Krishna is above all regulative principles, he agreed to stay at Hastinapura out of affection for the Pandavas. Taking this opportunity of Krishna's residence in Hastinapura, all the citizens of the city got the privilege of seeing him now and then, and thus they merged into transcendental bliss simply by seeing Lord Krishna face to face. One day, while Krishna was staying with the Pandavas, he and Arjuna prepared themselves to go to the forest to hunt. Both of them sat down on Arjuna's chariot, which flew a flag with a picture of Hanuman. Arjuna's special chariot is always marked with the picture of Hanuman, and therefore he is also named Kapidwaja. Kapi means Hanuman, and Dwaja means flag. Thus Arjuna prepared to go to the forest with his bow and infallible arrows. He dressed himself with suitable protective garments, for he was to practice for the time when he would be killing many enemies on the battlefield. He specifically entered that part of the forest where there were many tigers, deer, and various other animals. The reason Krishna went with Arjuna was not to practice animal killing, for Krishna doesn't have to practice anything. He is self-sufficient. He accompanied Arjuna to see how he was practicing, because in the future he would have to kill many enemies. After entering the forest, Arjuna killed many tigers, boars, bison, gavayas, a kind of wild animal, rhinoceroses, deer, hares, porcupines, and similar other animals, which he pierced with his arrows. Some of the dead animals that were fit to be offered in sacrifices were carried by servants and sent to King Yudhishthira. The ferocious animals, such as tigers and rhinoceroses, were killed only to stop disturbances in the forest. Since there are many sages and saintly persons who are residents of the forests, it is the duty of the Kshatriya kings to keep even the forest in a peaceful condition for living. Arjuna felt tired and thirsty from hunting, and therefore he went to the bank of the Yamuna along with Krishna. When both the Krishnas, namely Krishna and Arjuna, reached the bank of the Yamuna, Arjuna is sometimes called Krishna, as is Draupadi. They washed their hands, feet, and mouths, and drank the clear water of the Yamuna. While resting and drinking water, they saw a beautiful girl of marriageable age walking alone on the bank of the Yamuna. Krishna asked his friend Arjuna to go forward and ask the girl who she was. By the order of Krishna, Arjuna immediately approached the girl, who was very beautiful. She had an attractive body, nice, glittering teeth, and a smiling face. Arjuna inquired, "My dear girl, you are so beautiful with your raised breasts. May I ask you who you are? We are surprised to see you loitering here alone. What is your purpose in coming here? We can guess only that you are searching after a suitable husband. If you don't mind, you can disclose your purpose. I shall try to satisfy you." The beautiful girl was the river Yamuna personified. She replied, "Sir, I am the daughter of the sun god, and I am now performing penance and austerity to have Lord Vishnu as my husband. I think he is the supreme person and just suitable to become my husband. I disclose my desire thus because you wanted to know it." The girl continued, "My dear sir, I know that you are the hero Arjuna. So I may further say that I shall not accept anyone as my husband besides Lord Vishnu, because he is the only protector of all living entities and the bestower of liberation for all conditioned souls. I shall be thankful unto you if you pray to Lord Vishnu to be pleased with me." The girl Yamuna knew it well that Arjuna was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and that if he would pray, Krishna would never deny his request. To approach Krishna directly may sometimes be futile, but to approach Krishna through his devotee is sure to be successful. She further told Arjuna, "My name is Kalindi, and I live within the waters of the Yamuna. My father was kind enough to construct a special house for me within the waters of the Yamuna, and I have vowed to remain in the water as long as I cannot find Lord Krishna. Arjuna duly carried the message of the girl Kalindi to Krishna. Although Krishna, as the supersoul in everyone's heart, knew everything. Without further discussion, Krishna immediately accepted Kalindi and asked her to sit down on the chariot. Then all of them approached King Yudhishthira. After this, Krishna was asked by King Yudhishthira to help in constructing a suitable house to be planned by the great architect Vishwakarma, the celestial engineer in the heavenly kingdom. Krishna immediately called for Vishwakarma and made him construct a wonderful city according to the desire of King Yudhishthira. When this city was constructed, Maharaj Yudhishthira requested Krishna to live with them a few days more to give them the pleasure of his association. Lord Krishna accepted the request of Maharaj Yudhishthira and remained there for many days more. In the meantime, Krishna engaged in the pastime of offering the Khandava forest, which belonged to King Indra. Krishna wanted to give it to Agni, the fire god. The Khandava forest contained many varieties of drugs, and Agni required to eat them for rejuvenation. Agni, however, did not touch the Khandava forest directly, but requested Krishna to help him. Agni knew that Krishna was very much pleased with him because he had formerly given him the Sudarshana disc. So in order to satisfy Agni, Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna, and both went to the Khandava forest. After Agni had eaten up the Khandava forest, he was very much pleased. At this time, he offered Arjuna a special bow known as Gandiva. 4 white horses, 1 chariot, and an invincible quiver with 2 special arrows considered to be talismans, which had so much power that no warrior could counteract them. When the Khandava forest was being devoured by the fire god Agni, there was a demon of the name Maya who was saved by Arjuna from the devastating fire. For this reason, that former demon became a great friend of Arjuna, and in order to please Arjuna, he constructed a nice assembly house within the city constructed by Vishwakarma. This assembly house had some corners so puzzling that when Duryodhana came to visit this house, he was misdirected, accepting water as land and land as water. Duryodhana was thus insulted by the opulence of the Pandavas, and he became their determined enemy.
Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Jena Bhutade Swam Rupa Koda Mayham Tadati Sapadantikam Pandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lodita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vanchako Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Pandavas appeared at the Swayamvara of Draupadi, and so the rumor started that the Pandavas weren't dead after all. They hadn't died in the House of Black, and now it was proven so, and they returned to their capital, Hastinapur. People saw them. And when Krishna and Balaram heard this, Krishna decided to go to Hastinapur. So he went there, the Prabhupada says, in state as a royal prince. And when he arrived, the Pandavas got up to honor him. And it's described that it's as if they're here it said that they were freed from all material anxieties by Mukunda. Yes, and here it is that they felt as if they were revived from unconsciousness. When you're sleeping, your senses are inactive, everything's inactive. When you get up, all the senses come into play again, everything's enlivened. So the Pandavas got up like that. And just by the touch of Krishna, they were freed from all reactions of material activities and were smiling in bliss. Then it's described how the Pandavas greeted Krishna, and it's instructive that Krishna first offered his obeisances to Yudhisthira Maharaj and Bhima because they were his superiors by age. And he embraced Arjuna because they were of equal age, they were friends in that way. And Nakula and Sahadev touched Krishna's feet and offered their respects because they were younger. These are all important parts of the social etiquette. Different people, it's mentioned also when Krishna entered Hastinapur, then he reciprocated with everyone differently. Some people he nodded and smiled, some people he shook hands, some people he embraced, according to the relationship. So in Vedic culture, these things are observed, who's senior, who's junior, who's on an equal level, and they're dealt with accordingly. Even I was reading about the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and in days not too many decades ago, the original founder of the kingdom was one Ibn Saud, and then his sons after him, one became the king, one became the prime minister, one became the finance minister, they all took different roles. And there was one man, I think he was the finance minister. He was like the sharpest tack in the box. And all the foreign diplomats, when they landed, they would go to his house to get the latest update about where everything stood and, feel out their various positions. And he would be, and they liked him because he was super sharp. But then in the court, when that same brother was there, he was silent because he was in the presence of the king. King was his older brother. In the presence of the older brother, he wouldn't say anything, even though he was actually the man who was on top of so many things. He would remain silent. So this is the etiquette. In the presence of the superior person, we don't take a forward position, we take a humble position. So Nakula and Sahadev touched Krishna's feet. Krishna touched the feet of Maharaj Yudhisthira and Bhim, and he embraced Arjuna. So then, after meeting with the Pandavas, Krishna met with Kunti Devi, his aunt, as we say in America, and very feelingly, she narrated the past incidents of their life and how Krishna had saved them from so many calamities. And she said, I knew from the day that you sent Akrura to inquire about us that you hadn't forgotten us, that you were always thinking about us. And so I had no anxiety. And she says, you're not partial towards some, you have no friends, no enemies, but those who turn toward you, especially as devotees, you can't forget. They don't forget you, and you don't forget them. Just as a mother always takes care of an especially dependent child, so Krishna especially takes care of his unalloyed devotees. So then, Krishna, at the request of Yudhisthira Maharaj, agreed to stay in Hastinapur for the 4 months of the rainy season, Chaturmasya. Krishna had no need to observe Chaturmasya. He's above the regulative principles, but he took the opportunity to stay. So then, one day, while Krishna was staying with the Pandavas, Krishna and Arjuna decided to go to the forest to hunt. The hunting is one of the functions of the Kshatriyas because they have to stay fit and ready to fight against enemies to protect the people. And so they sometimes kill animals, especially animals that disturb the sages, the inhabitants of the forest. So Krishna and Arjuna especially it says, killed many animals, and those that were fit to be offered in sacrifice, were carried by servants and sent to Yudhisthira Maharaj. So then Arjuna felt tired, thirsty. He went to the Jamuna to get some water along with Krishna. There are two Krishnas. Arjuna is also known as Krishna. And Draupadi is sometimes called Krishna. So while they were resting by the water and drinking, they saw a beautiful girl, a young girl, marriageable age, and Krishna asked Arjuna to go up to her and ask who she was. And Arjuna said, yeah, we can only guess that you're searching after a suitable husband. The beautiful girl was the Jamuna personified, the daughter of the sun god. And she said, I'm performing tapasya to have Lord Vishnu as my husband. And I won't accept anyone else, only Lord Vishnu, because he's the protector of all living entities. He's the bestower of liberation. So if you would pray to Lord Vishnu to be pleased with me, then I'd be thankful. And Kalindi, that was the girl's name, knew that Arjuna was a great devotee of Krishna. So she was confident that if Arjuna would pray on her behalf or present her case, then Krishna might accept her. In fact, that Krishna would never deny Arjuna's request. And Prabhupada said, approaching Krishna sometimes is futile, but approaching through the devotee never goes in vain. So Arjuna told Krishna, this is who she is, and without further discussion, Krishna accepted Kalindi, asked her to sit on the chariot, and off they drove to approach King Yudhisthira. After this, Krishna was asked to help build a suitable house to be planned by the great architect Vishwakarma, the engineer of the demigods. And Krishna called for him and made him construct a wonderful city according to King Yudhisthira's desire. And then Yudhisthira asked Krishna to stay with him a few days more, and Krishna accepted the request. Now, is that how far we've come? Am I right? Where is the next paragraph? In the meantime?
We have done that.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime.
In the meantime. That's the
next paragraph.
So one more paragraph. Ah, yes. So in the meantime, Krishna, offered the Khandava forest, which belonged to Indra, to Agni, the fire dev, a fire god. Indra somehow or other loses a lot to Krishna. But Agni, the forest had all sorts of herbs that Agni needed to eat for rejuvenation. And so Agni requested Krishna to help him. Agni had given Krishna the Sudarshan disc, and to satisfy Agni, Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna, and they went to the Khandava forest and arranged for Agni to be able to devour the forest. They created a great fire. And then there was a demon named Maya who, yeah, thank you. A demon named Maya whom Arjuna saved from the fire. So the demon became Arjuna's friend, and out of friendship constructed a great assembly house in the city made by Vishwakarma. And the assembly house was so well crafted that it even had these puzzling features. You might think land was water, you might think water was land. And Duryodhana got confused about the two. We'll find out about that in the coming chapter. And we can stop here and wonder what kind of questions we might have so far. And we'll finish the chapter tomorrow. That's the plan. Yes. Yeah, okay, you have a written question. Sri Kunti Devi talks about ordinary devotees who simply think of Krishna, and what to speak about us whom you personally think of. Queen Kunti and their 5 sons went through difficult situations in their lives, yet they never deviated from the path of devotion to Krishna. Is it what makes Kunti and her sons so dear to Krishna that he thinks of them personally? Well, there are various things. They were already dear to Krishna. They're already his eternal devotees. It's mentioned in one place that because Pandu had died early, then Krishna felt some extra responsibility to protect Kunti Devi. The family relationship was also there. She was Krishna's aunt. So these are all eternal transcendental relationships between Krishna and his devotees. And then, yes, they went through so many calamities and remained stalwart, steadfast, so that further endeared them to Krishna. Is that all right? Okay. Something else? Yes. Hold on, we're giving you a microphone.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. The 2 sons like Nakul and Sahadeva, who was the mother? Kunti Devi was the mother for them?
No. They're sons of Madri.
Madhuri. And how did the Pandu Maharaj died? Because of some curse he had? The Pandu Maharaj, like King Pandu, how he died? What was the reason for his
King
death?
Pandu died from a curse. There was some outing in the forest, and he was hunting, and he heard a sound. It sounded like an animal that he wanted to shoot, but in fact it was a sage and his wife who had taken the form of a deer and the deer's mate. And while they were in the act of sexual union, he'd shot an arrow at them and killed the husband. And on this account, the wife cursed him that when you attempt to unite with your wife, you'll die also. So it was a curse, and therefore, and that's why the Pandavas were all born of demigods, that there was no way that Pandu could father these children. And Kunti had received this charm from Durvasa Muni, a mantra by which she could call for any demigod. And so the suggestion was made that she could call for, well, first it was Yamaraj, Dharmaraj, yes, and then Vayu, then Indra. So in this way, 3 of the Pandavas were born. Then the other 2 were born of Madri. Prabhupada sometimes says that they were fathered by. Prabhupada sometimes says that they were fathered by Pandu, but that's not possible, really. And elsewhere, Prabhupada says that yes, they were the sons of the Ashwini Kumars. The story, if I recall, was that, well, I've had 3 and you don't have any, so Kunti called for the demigods, the Ashwini Kumars, on Madri's behalf, as it were. So in this way we got 5 brothers. And yes, but to answer the question, that sometime Pandu became attracted to Madri and wasn't able to control his senses, and so he died. Yes. Did I get it all right? Mahabharata? Okay.
So
And if you have any other questions, watch the TV serial.
So what was the past deed of Karna? That why he had to suffer a lot? You know, he didn't get the father.
Why did Karna suffer a lot? Well, of course, Karna was the first son of. He was the first of the sons of Kunti. She just wanted to test the mantra, and the sun god appeared and fathered Karna. But this was before her marriage, and so she couldn't have a son, and so she cast the son into the river in a basket, and which was retrieved by the charioteer, who became Karna's father. So Karna, a very interesting character in the Mahabharata. He's noble. He's known for his charity. Anyone could ask him for charity, he would never refuse, especially when he was, after he was worshiping the sun, he would give charity to anyone. He was born with natural armor, and it's said that he was invincible as long as he had that armor. He was he was powerful, and he was expert in military arts. He was refused by Dronacharya as a student because he was not a Kshatriya. He was the son of a charioteer who's a lower class person. And so he decided to go to Parshuram for military training. And Parshuram, of course, was the great enemy of the Kshatriyas. So, are you a Kshatriya? No, I'm not a Kshatriya. So then Parshuram agreed to impart to him all of his military training. But then on one occasion, just when the training was over, the Guru Parshuram was sleeping with his head on Karna's lap, and some boring insect, began eating away at Karna's leg. and so much blood was coming and so on. And Karna was just tolerating it because he didn't want to disturb his guru. But then the blood fell on the guru, on Parshuram, and he woke up. And when he woke up, he saw that this Karna had tolerated so much pain, obviously. So then he said, "You're a Kshatriya. You've come under false pretenses. You have to be a Kshatriya. A Brahmin couldn't tolerate this. Only a Kshatriya could tolerate this. So you've come under false pretenses. So now I curse you. That when you most need the mantras that I've taught you, you won't be able to remember it." So Karna had this sort of crossed, he was, what's the word? Ill-fated. He was noble and highly qualified, but he had this star-crossed background, and so he, the star-crossed background. And at one point he appeared in the assembly of the crews. There was a competition to display military arts, so the Pandavas were showing their skill, the Kauravas were showing their skill, Duryodhana and his brothers. And then Karna showed up. And but he showed immense skill equal to Arjun's in his ability to shoot arrows. But he was disqualified because he was asked, you've done all these wonderful things, who are you? So then you have to say who you are, who your father is, and so on. So then he had to admit that he was the son of the charioteer. So, all right, now disqualified. So it was a humiliation for him. But Duryodhana, we were talking about everyone has good qualities. Duryodhana, to his credit, recognized that here's, whatever you think, look, just see his quality. By birth he may be whatever, but by qualification, he's first-class Kshatriya. So Duryodhana made him king of Anga, so that he would have Kshatriya status, essentially. Yes. And also Duryodhana recognized that Duryodhana was always envious of Arjuna, and he recognized that here's someone who could be on my side. So that was also part of it. Later in the competition for the hand of Draupadi, Draupadi disqualified Karna. I can't marry anyone but a Kshatriya. So again, although Karna had the capability, he was excluded. So that also created resentment against the Pandavas on the part of Karna. Before the Kurukshetra war, Krishna disclosed to Karna his identity. The idea was that only Karna could defeat Arjuna. No one else had the power. No one else was equal. Arjuna could defeat anyone, but Karna was on the same level. So, favoring the Pandavas, Krishna disclosed to Karna that you're actually the son of Kunti. And yes, you're actually the son of Kunti. So then it made it difficult now for Karna to fight against the Pandavas. And Kunti herself came and requested that you, now you join with us, you're my eldest son, you take your position. But Karna refused. He said, you rejected me, and who accepted me? Duryodhana accepted me. So Karna became ever indebted to Duryodhana, because Duryodhana had honored him when everyone else had excluded or rejected him. So they became friends, and even though Karna knew that Duryodhana's side would lose, still he was ready to fight on the side of Duryodhana. After some days in the Kurukshetra war, after the death of Bhishma, Karna became the commander-in-chief. And then he was killed by Arjuna, a bit unfairly also, when his chariot became stuck in the mud and he couldn't remember the mantras for defending himself or attacking. So there's much more about Karna. I've said mostly good things about him, but he's the one who encouraged the disrobing of Draupadi. He wasn't, there are two sides to his character. But he's certainly a most interesting figure in the Mahabharata.
Maharaj, we read about the killing of different animals, and also in the forest, I suppose, a lot of animals were killed. And I was just wondering how to explain these things to people these days, vegans.
This is not eco-friendly, is it? These are duties. These are duties. Because the Kshatriyas have to protect. And protecting a kingdom is no small thing. You have to be capable and prepared and ready. So then you can't just be sort of playing badminton until the day that the kingdom is attacked. You have to stay in practice. So then they would go to the forest, and this was allowed in Shastra, that you can kill some animals, especially the ferocious animals they could kill, because that would keep even the forest peaceful for the sages or other inhabitants of the forest. So it was their duty, and you can say, oh, they shouldn't have been killing animals. All right, then let us be incapable and have our kingdoms overrun by barbarians. So is that all right? If it were you're a comfy American or Brit or something like that, you don't worry about these things. But would it be all right with you to have your country overrun by barbarians, or would you allow some animal killing under the circumstances? Okay.
A little follow-up to that is mentioned
No. Louder and into the microphone.
The certain animals were offered in sacrifice, and I had a different understanding that they had to be alive to be offered for the sacrifice. I didn't know about.
Seems like, I don't know. I never did one of these sacrifices. it's mentioned that some were sent back to be offered in sacrifice. The killing of a bull in sacrifice, that was particular. You'd kill a living bull and it would come back in a new body. And that was special. Yes, I don't know the particulars of the sacrificial rules. Something else? Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I'm thinking about Pandu.
Oh, a little louder.
Sorry. I'm thinking about Pandu.
About Karna?
Pandu.
Pandu.
And the curse.
And the curse, yes.
Even in the face of knowing that it would kill him, he couldn't control his senses. It makes me think, what chance do we have?
What chance do we have?
exalted?
Well, what chance do we have? In one sense, yes, we have to depend on the mercy of Krishna, that's all. That's the only chance we have. Depend on the mercy of Krishna, the spiritual master, the holy name. Also, we could say that there was some particular destiny or fate. Just as it said, one whom Krishna protects, no one can kill. One whom Krishna wants to kill, no one can protect. So destiny has this large and powerful hand. So it's difficult to escape the actions of destiny. But still, one who's engaged in Krishna consciousness, even if destiny does its work on him, still what is that? Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tatagachati. No evil can befall him. We have the example of a Jamil who was a good Brahmin, and by some quirk of destiny he fell down. But then at the end, because of his past credit, he remembered the name of Narayan and he was freed. So even if a devotee is afflicted in some way by some, you can say, trick of fate, still he's always glorious. Still devotees. Therefore one should be very careful never to deride a devotee of Krishna. Even if he does something sudurachar, sadhureva samantavya, he has to be considered saintly. Is that okay? And we have to pray to Krishna. Now, Prabhupada one time, in the early days, in the early 1970s, after we acquired the Los Angeles temple, that was our first really proper temple in America, big temple. And it was our own property instead of just a rented storefront or something. So New Dwarka, an opulent place with temple and apartment buildings for the devotees and so much facility. And many devotees were there also. And the movement was growing, everything was getting big. And people were giving Prabhupada, disciples, that Jai Sri Dasi gave Prabhupada that coat, maybe you've seen sometimes with the peacock tassels. There's pictures of Prabhupada with this brownish coat, long coat, peacock tassels. I think Jai Sri gave that to Srila Prabhupada. And then someone gave Prabhupada a gold lame bead bag. And Prabhupada was in his quarters. I forget who I heard this from, but it was reliable. And he said, now, we're so many devotees are coming, and so many things they're giving. So I'm just praying to Krishna that I may not fall down. So, if Prabhupada was praying to Krishna, then how much we need to pray to Krishna, that we may not fall down. Okay. Yes. Yeah, you have time.
Is the reason that Karna destroyed? Can you say that because his desire to be recognized?
You got drowned out by the car horn. Did you hear that? Okay, destiny conspired against you in the form of the rickshaw horn, so he couldn't hear you. Let's try again.
So can you say the reason that Karna destroyed or destruct was because his desire to be recognized? Because he was loyal to Duryodhan because he was recognized by Duryodhan. So is the reason he destructed was his desire to be recognized?
Was the reason of this destruction was
I can't hear you either now.
was the reason for his destruction?
Karna's destruction? Was it
Desire to be recognized.
was it his desire to be recognized? Well, that's one way to be recognized, to be destroyed, but by a great hero like Arjuna. But finally we can say he was destroyed by the will of Krishna. It was Krishna's desire that he die. The one thing is that he'd insulted Draupadi. He played a leading role in that. Another reason was that Krishna was favoring Arjuna. That was Arjuna's credit, that he was an unalloyed devotee of Krishna. Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mayi te shujapyaham. So Krishna personally favored Arjuna, even to the extent of recommending that Arjuna kill Karna unfairly. According to Kshatriya code, the man is down from his chariot and he's stuck in the mud. You don't shoot him. You shoot him when he's fully armed and ready to oppose you. But Krishna and Arjuna, in fact, said, "I can't do this. This is unethical. It's against the Kshatriya code." Then Krishna, well, where was the Kshatriya code when he insulted Draupadi? So, shoot. So finally, it was Krishna's desire, and in one sense, this is all Leela, all Krishna's drama. So this is part of Krishna's grand script for the events of Kurukshetra. And it's still remembered today, all these what should we say, dramatic incidents. Okay? Yes?
Maharaj, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Devim Prakriti Mashrita. That means like these great Mahatmas are under my protection of my Devim Prakriti. But what about Maharaj practicing devotees, sadhakas? Are they
They're
also
also under the protection of the divine energy. Maybe they don't get the same degree of protection because yayata mam prapadyante, tamstataiva bhajamyam, but they're also protected. And we see so many examples where devotees are protected by Krishna even though they may not be devotees of the highest caliber or great devotees. But Krishna helps his devotees. Even the beginning devotees can get mercy and protection from Krishna. Shall we stop here and have kirtan? Is that all right?
Yes, Maharaj. What about like these, like Bharat Maharaj, we see. So,
He emerged successful. He may have temporarily deviated, but finally, what do they say? All's well that ends well. He goes back to Godhead.
and what about Maharaj devotees who join our movement for some time, but for some reasons they drop out of the movement? So they can also be considered as protected. I mean, eventually they will be protected.
Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. Even that little bit of devotional service can save them from the greatest danger. And what is that? And there's no loss or diminution. What is that?
Neha Bikrama
Neha vikramanashosti pratyavayo navidyate. There's no loss. Whatever they did in devotional service, that will be their credit. They'll come back. That's at the end of the 6th chapter. They'll come back with that credit in their favor. Nard also speaks about this, that even if one falls down untimely or unfortunately because of being immature in devotional service, still he's better than the ordinary materialist, and the good fortune will continue. Well, the thing is that we're out of time. So we'll meet again tomorrow, I think, Krishna willing. And we'll stop here. And who's doing kirtan today? I wonder. The drum is there. The devotees are here. You want to lead kirtan, Vishwambara? Rather not. Okay. We have like 10-minute kirtan, only Hare Krishna, one tune only, whichever tune. And who wants to lead? Would you like to lead? Would you like to lead? Somebody has to lead. You're going to do it after all. Just see, even against his desire, he's going to chant the holy name of Krishna. Good decision.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnuvad Purnamansa Pariprajukacharya Stotra Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sridhar Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all again. And tomorrow is Ekadashi, and we'll see you. And you can let me know when we're offline.